ancient aliens, lost civilizations, giant machines that shaped the Earth thousands of years ago. If you spend any time on YouTube or the History Channel, you've heard the pitch. What if everything we know about human history is wrong? It's the central question behind one of the longest-running and most influential conspiracy shows of all time, Ancient Aliens. Since 2009, the series has aired over 200 episodes, been translated into dozens of languages, and become a cornerstone of modern pseudo-history. The hosts, familiar names to anyone in the fringe history world, Giorgio Tsoukalos, David Childress, and others, backed by a rotating cast of authors, mystics, and charismatic researchers. And while their theories vary, from ancient astronauts to electromagnetic power grids and alien hybrid humans, the message is always the same: ancient people couldn't have done this. Something else must be at work. But what if I told you none of it holds up? What if behind every alien claim there's a real, documented, often even more impressive human explanation? And what if the true danger of ancient aliens isn't just that it's wrong, but that it actively erases the achievements of real cultures, real civilizations, and real indigenous knowledge? In this episode, we're going to walk through some of the biggest claims made by the show, the ones that have gone viral, launched 1,000 TikToks, and fueled a whole subculture of modern pseudoscience. We'll look at what Ancient Aliens says and what real archaeologists, historians, and scientists know. We're not here to mock believers or shame people who got curious. We're here to build something stronger. A version of ancient history that's just as mysterious, just as awe-inspiring, but grounded in truth, not fantasy. Because the real story is better. Let's start with why this works. Why do millions of people outsmart, curious people get pulled into the world of ancient aliens and feel like they've discovered a hidden truth? The answer isn't stupidity. It's pattern recognition combined with bad source checking. Humans are wired to connect dots. When you show someone a perfect cut in granite, or a pyramid aligned to the stars, or a symbol that looks eerily modern, their brain wants to make meaning out of it. Fringe shows exploit that instinct. But more than that, they feed a deeper narrative. That there was once a forgotten, superior civilization. That maybe we are the lost ones. That we're surrounded by evidence, but the experts are too blind, or too corrupt, to see it. It's a seductive idea, especially when it's wrapped in mystery music, sweeping drone shots, and half-quotes pulled from real archaeological studies. And yes, mainstream history has made mistakes. But what Ancient Aliens doesn't tell you is that archaeology isn't a closed system. It's a living, evolving science. Sites get reinterpreted. Cultures get re-understood. And the people doing that work in the dirt, in the archives, in the labs, are asking real questions. They're not just trying to say what didn't happen. They're trying to understand what actually did. So in this series, we'll show you both what Ancient Aliens claims and what real experts have uncovered. We'll go site by site, claim by claim. And by the end, you'll not only see the holes in the pseudoscience, you'll walk away knowing exactly how we know. Not just that ancient people could do this stuff, but that they absolutely did. Let's start at one of the most iconic fringe claims of all time. The so-called ancient helicopter carved into the walls of a 3,000-year-old Egyptian temple. Ready? Let's go. For years, fringe theorists have pointed to a strange carving at the Temple of Seti I in Abydos, Egypt. It looks like a helicopter, maybe even a tank or a futuristic flying machine. If you search ancient helicopter carving, this is what pops up first. It's one of Ancient Aliens' favorite examples. How could the Egyptians have carved something that looks so modern, unless they saw it? But here's what the show doesn't explain. That carving isn't a single inscription. It's actually a palimpsest, a layered engraving where one inscription was carved over another centuries apart. The original hieroglyphs were part of Seti I's reign. When his son Ramesses II took the throne, he replastered the stone and recarved new titles over top. Over time, the plaster wore away, revealing a bizarre overlap of both inscriptions, which now, coincidentally, looks like a helicopter if you squint hard enough. This isn't a secret. Egyptologists have studied it extensively. Epigrapher Dr. Kenneth Feder and archaeologist Sarah Parkett both point out that the helicopter image is an artifact of erosion and recarving, not alien memory. Fringe theorists love to present this as a mystery, but it's not one. We've known the truth for decades. The only reason it still circulates is because most people don't hear from actual archaeologists. The Abydos carving is just the beginning. Ancient Aliens makes dozens of claims like this, moments where modern-looking features are taken as evidence of impossible technology. But real archaeologists don't rely on vibes and drone shots. They study context, tool marks, and timelines. Take the infamous precision cuts in granite blocks at places like Abu Rawash or the Serapeum of Saqqara. Fringe theorists say the only way to cut granite that smoothly is with high-speed machines. Maybe lasers, maybe alien tech. But stonecutters, engineers, and archaeologists say otherwise. We have the tools. We've found the copper saws. We've found the tubular drills. And we've found the stones they were tested on. Archaeologist Dr. Rachel N. Hallett and engineer Denise Stocks have both replicated these ancient techniques using period-appropriate materials. Stocks, in particular, demonstrated how abrasive sand with copper tubes could bore into hard stone, slowly but effectively. The perfect surfaces, often just unfinished or weather-worn areas misunderstood by modern viewers. What you're not seeing on Ancient Aliens are the quarries, the half-finished blocks, the discarded tools, the mistake marks. You're being shown the highlights and told there's no explanation. But the explanations are there. You just have to ask someone who actually digs for a living. If there's a holy site for the ancient alien crowd, it's Puma Punku. Featured in almost every Ancient Aliens episode, the site is located high in the Bolivian Andes and is part of the larger Tiwanaku complex. The show fixates on the intricately carved stone blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, and claims they're too precise, too perfect to have been made by pre-industrial people. Laser cutting and gravity, alien blueprints, not quite. The truth, according to archaeologists like Alexei Vranich, is both simpler and more amazing. Vranich's team at the University of Pennsylvania used 3D modeling to virtually reconstruct Puma Punku using only the existing stones, no fantasy tech required. They found that the blocks weren't uniform or perfect. In fact, many were damaged, irregular, and fit together like puzzle pieces only because they were carved on site with that goal in mind. What about the supposed machine-level precision? Stonemason and Andean engineering expert Jean-Pierre Pratzen has studied Tiwanaku extensively and demonstrated that with simple tools hammer stones, bronze, chisels, and string for leveling, the kinds of cuts seen at Puma Punku are entirely achievable. The Tiwanaku civilization didn't need aliens. They had skill, labor, and centuries of experience. And that should be more impressive, not less. Few ancient sites spark more extraterrestrial speculation than the Nazca Lines, those massive geoglyphs etched into the desert of southern Peru. From the air, they depict animals, plants, and geometric patterns stretched across miles. Ancient Aliens claims the only way to see and design them was from above, proof, they say, of alien aircraft or messages to the sky gods. But archaeologists and local scholars know better. First, the Nazca Lines weren't invisible to their creators. Many can be seen from nearby hills and low mountains. In fact, researchers like Anthony Avini and Maria Reich, who spent decades studying the lines, showed that the builders used simple tools and planning techniques, wooden stakes, rope, and careful measurement. Reich even demonstrated how the figures could be designed at ground level using gridded templates. These weren't random doodles. They were created between 500 BCE and 500 CE by the Nazca culture, likely for ceremonial and religious purposes. Some align with celestial bodies or water sources. Others may have been walkways for processions or ritual paths for connecting to the gods. There's no alien tech here, just extraordinary vision, patience, and communal effort. The mystery isn't how they were made, it's why we keep ignoring the people who made them. One of the most persistent myths about the Nazca Lines is that they were some kind of runway, a place for ancient spacecraft to land and take off. But there's no evidence of that. No scorch marks. No landing gear impressions. No wreckage. What we do have is a growing body of research into ancient Peruvian astronomy and sacred landscape practices. Many of the Nazca geoglyphs are aligned with astronomical phenomena. Lines point to the solstices, horizon markers, and important water sources. Archaeologist Clive Ruggles, a leading expert in archaeoastronomy, found that some figures were carefully laid out in relationship to rising and setting stars, creating symbolic maps of ritual space, not airports. The emphasis on how did they make it from the air also misses a key fact: the Nazca people didn't need to see the entire figure at once. Like Gothic cathedral builders who never saw the full facade from above, they relied on math, memory, and inherited design. The work was generational and sacred. By pushing the alien runway idea, Ancient Aliens flattens a rich cultural achievement into a sci-fi trope. But when we view these lines through the lens of Andean cosmology, as connections between earth, sky, and spirit, they become even more powerful. Not evidence of visitors from above, evidence of people looking up. Ancient Aliens often pushes the idea that humans were genetically modified by extraterrestrials, creating hybrid beings or even the entire human species. They point to myths like the Anunnaki from Mesopotamia or the Nephilim from the Hebrew Bible and suggest these stories are evidence of alien tampering. But the science says otherwise. Geneticists have mapped the human genome with incredible precision. There's no mysterious foreign DNA. No unexplained sequences. Our genes trace an evolutionary path stretching back millions of years with clear markers of migration, interbreeding with hominins like Neanderthals and Denisovans, and adaptation to different environments. One major blow to the alien hybrid theory came from the Human Genome Project. Scientists from around the world found no gaps or anomalies that would suggest outside manipulation. If there were non-human markers, especially from an unrelated biological origin like aliens, they'd stick out, but they don't exist. The ancient alien DNA theory also misunderstands mythology. Myths are metaphorical, symbolic, and cultural, not literal historical records. The Anunnaki weren't astronauts. They were gods in a complex Mesopotamian belief system, representing natural forces and divine power. Scholars like Dr. Irving Finkel and Dr. Stephanie Daly have published extensively on how these stories reflect ancient society, not interstellar ancestry. So the next time you hear that humans are part alien, ask, where's the lab data? Where's the archaeological context? And why are fringe theorists always skipping peer review? Ancient Aliens might seem like harmless entertainment, just another weird corner of cable TV or YouTube rabbit holes. But the damage it does is real. These stories aren't neutral. They rewrite the past in ways that erase indigenous knowledge, feed conspiratorial thinking, and fuel a distrust of experts and evidence. When the show claims that ancient Egyptians, Andean peoples, or Mesopotamians couldn't have built what they built, it's not just wrong, it's insulting. It replaces human ingenuity with cosmic babysitters. It takes away the credit from civilizations who worked, experimented, innovated, and passed down knowledge over generations. This isn't just about aliens. It's about the politics of the past. In some cases, fringe theories have been used to promote racist or nationalist ideologies, like the idea that white gods brought civilization to indigenous peoples, or that Atlantis was a superior race wiped out by mixing with others. Scholars like Dr. Jason Colavito and Dr. Debbie Reese have shown how pseudo-history often overlaps with white supremacist and colonial narratives, even when it doesn't mean to. And when these ideas spread unchecked, they don't just distort history. They make it harder for real experts, including indigenous archaeologists and scholars, to get funding, visibility, and public trust. This matters because understanding the past isn't just about facts, it's about whose stories we choose to honor.